Muy buenas a todos. Joder, la gargantilla. No se ve nada, no está puesto nada ahora mismo en este momento. Así que no hay problema ninguno. Debería de ir poniendo. Opciones. ¿Puedo cogerte de alguna manera, por favor? Es que se redimensiona entera la pantalla. Propiedades. No, no te puedo pillar. Ahora te puedo pillar por captura de juego. Capturar. Aquí está. De Stanley Parable. A ver, se captura. Tener que pararme para comprobar que se captura, ¿no? Funny. Vale. Ay, perfecto. Se ve bien, pero... Quiero ver si puedo... Tengo la música puesta. No el copyright. Bueno. A ver, audio. Puedo bajarte. Una cosa ahí. Configuración bocinas. 2 bocinas. Hombre, estoy en auriculares. Así que supongo que hay bocinas. Clase no es alta. Alta. Subtítulos. Vamos a activar los subtítulos. Descriptivos. ¿Descriptivos? Normal, supongo. Lenguaje de los subtítulos, italiano, español, descriptivos. Me hace gracia porque estábamos ahí del fondo, en el fondo. Funny, ok. Ah, vale. Vamos a cambiarlo entonces. Vamos a reiniciar. Bienvenido de nuevo. Nice. Opciones, vídeo, reacción de aspecto. Pantalla ancha. Diseño bueno, quizá. No. 16 décimo. Sí, supongo. Es decir, mejor se ve. Vale, vamos a toquetear aquí porque... Mira, sí, ahora lo estoy viendo. El problema es que, claro... No da para toda la pantalla. No pasa nada. Vídeo... Hay funciones. Vídeo, no, vamos a ponerte... ¿Así estabas? Es que ahora no me acuerdo cómo estaba. Vamos a ver, si no vamos a toquetear más. Ahorra energía para laptop, no. Campo de visión, supongo que bien. Avanzado. Modo anti-aliasing, por favor. Trilinear, bilineal, antisóptico. Vamos a poner el máximo total. Es un juego de... curioso. Renderizado, detalle matizador. Vale, ok. Y... atrás. Y vamos a comenzar la partida, supongo. Never, the end is never. The end is never, the end is never.
This is the story of a man named Stanley.
Stanley.
Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427.
Muy bien.
Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard.
Pulsa botones.
Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year.
Madre mía.
And although others might have considered it
Click,
soul-crushing, Stanley relished
click.
every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for his job.
Uy, el teléfono.
And Stanley was happy.
Y Stanley era feliz.
And then one day, something very peculiar happened.
¿O no?
Something that would forever change
Oh, no.
Stanley. Something he would never quite forget.
¿O no?
He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow.
¿O no?
No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened. This
Hostia.
complete...
Acabo de caer, que yo no he cambiado la categoría. Que yo no cambié la categoría. No. Ahora quiero bajar el sonido.
Something was very clearly wrong.
Oh no, algo está mal.
Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
Opciones, audio, voy a bajarlo. El de la música voy a dejarlo ahí, pero este voy a dejarlo ahí. A ver. Y camino fuera.
All of his co-workers were gone.
Vale, ahora voy a subirlo.
What could it mean?
¿Qué podría
Stanley
ser?
decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Meeting room, meeting room. Ahí hay una salida. Vamos a la meeting room. Y bueno, aquí hay más salidas.
Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single difference.
Vale.
Nor did it advance the story in any way.
Perfecto.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Vale. No sé si tener miedo por las risas o reírme. Ey. Por si no sé si estamos jugando Stanley Parable. Es el juego de los 200 finales. Es decir, tiene 200 finales, básicamente. Bueno, no sé si tiene 200, pero tiene una cantidad de finales tremenda. ¿Cuántos finales veremos hoy? No lo sé. ¿O no? No hay gente.
Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Jefe, necesito hablar con usted. Mira. Vale, hay un montón de cosas. Oh. Esto se ha abierto.
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track.
Vale. No hay nada en la de esta de limpieza.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
No, no es para arriba. Uy. Uy. Madre mía. Qué sitio más bonito, ¿no? Ah, un baño ejecutivo. No puedo entrar. Triste. Hola. 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 Madre mía, pedazo sala, ¿no?
To his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this. What dark secret was being held from him?
¿Qué oscuro secreto hay aquí?
Known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number. 2845. 2845.
Stanley
couldn't possibly have known this. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad,
¿Qué máquina soy, no?
happened to input the correct code by sheer luck.
Oh,
Amazing. He
amazing.
stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Madre mía. Amazingly. Hostia, aquí hay un deste secreto. Habrá que venir en algún momento. Supongo por aquí. Que tiene 200 finales. Loading.
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar.
Siento algo peculiar.
A stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his
Soy libre. Soy libre.
this now, when for years it had never occurred to
No
him.
puedo saltar, solamente me
This
puedo mover.
question would not go unanswered for long.
¿Qué hemos encontrado? ¿Qué hay aquí? ¿Se puede mover un poco el ratón más rápido? Ratón. Sensibilidad, sí, por favor. Hostia, demasiada sensibilidad, me cago en Dios.
Stanley
Mucha.
walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Instalación de control mental o escape, loco. Si seguís aquí, luego podéis elegir lo que hago, es decir... De aquí a un rato. Oh no, control mental. ¿De qué tipo de control mental será?
The lights
Luz.
rose on an enormous room packed with television screens.
Televisiones.
What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
Sí, vámonos. Mira cuántas televisiones, ¿no? Me cago en la vida. Ah, cámaras.
Now the monitors
Hostia.
brought to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the
Hostia.
building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced
Míralo.
to images on a screen.
Esa está rota.
Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place.
Hay un par que están rotas. No sé si es por de forma aleatoria o es que de verdad están rotas. Porque está aquella y ya está. Y ya no veo ninguna más. Hostia, espérate. A ver si significa un número o algo. Hostia, es que puede significar un número y tremendo. Aquí ya está rota. Oye, ¿no os dan ganas de jugar el juego del calamar? No. Es lo único que he visto ha sido por TikTok. Pero me tengo en la serie. Me han entrado ganas. Fire it. Mira, han echado a alguien. Vamos a darle.
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true.
Aquí le he
Had
dado.
Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been
Está muy guapa. O sea,
manipulated to accept it blindly?
la impresión que me ha dado que estaba guapa. Pero vamos, o sea, me la voy a ver en algún momentillo.
No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't
No,
accept it.
mi vida es
His
mía.
own life in someone else's control? Never.
Never.
It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it
¿Es
even
siquiera
possible?
posible?
Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was
Power Facility.
the heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy or sad or content.
Está
Walking,
apagado.
eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never
Supongo que tengo que ir para
exert
allá.
its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Bueno, la tele. Pero no la ves en familia, nada. Mientras la veo yo solo. O acompañado por otra persona, pero no en familia. Supongo que tengo que ir aquí, ¿no? Sí, ahí estamos. Está apagado, de hecho, ya, pero vamos a volver a apagarlo.
Blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over?
Está muy apagado.
Yes.
Oh.
He had won.
Oh, he ganado.
He
Mira,
had
ya me he pasado el
defeated
juego.
the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command.
Así me gusta.
Freedom was mere moments away.
Bien.
And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone?
Sí, ¿qué ha pasado con ellos?
Been freed from the machine's grasp.
¿Qué ha pasado?
What other mysteries did this strange
Me dan igual.
hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized
Así
none of
eso
this
es.
mattered
Nada
to him,
importa.
for it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go.
Ahí está, ahí está.
No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel.
Por cierto, en este juego podéis hacer un montón de cosas. Así que si os apetece podemos tomar alguna decisión. O sea, puedo tomar una decisión de la que vosotros queráis.
Stanley stepped through the open door.
¿Qué pasa si me quedo quieto? ¿Pasa algo si me quedo quieto?
Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin.
Ahí está, venga.
The feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him.
Oh, Dios mío, qué bonito.
Exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen.
Por cierto, ¿dónde demonios estamos?
And Stanley was happy.
Oh, soy feliz. Logro desbloqueado, completar el juego. Madre mía, qué máquina soy. Si es que yo lo sabía. Yo sabía que era bueno en este videojuego. ¿O no?
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
¿O no?
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Y volvió a empezar.
Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make... No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Vamos a mirar. He apagado un ordenador. Vamos a mirar, vamos a investigar, a ver si encontramos algo. Nada, otro ordenador, apagamos. Nada por aquí. Input recibido, hemos escrito uno. Hemos escrito uno. No sé si podemos escribir más, ¿eh? Nada. Nada. Por ahí sí puede salir, seguro. Mira, por ahí es otro camino, segurísimo.
Stanley clicked on literally every single door in the office because he doesn't pick up well on cues from his environment.
Nada, venga, vamos a investigar más. Nada. 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 Nada, aunque claramente hay algo.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered. This was not the correct way to the meeting room.
Oh no.
And Stanley knew it perfectly well.
Ahí está.
Perhaps he wanted to stop
La
by
sala
the
empleada
employee
para
lounge
mirarla.
first, just to admire it.
Oh no, eso se puede bajar. Seguro. A ver, ¿puedes? No se abren, tío. No entiendo a veces. ¿Por qué no se abren? Nada. Nada. La sala de empleados.
Yes, truly a room worth admiring.
Así me gusta.
Been worth the detour after all.
Así me
Just to
gusta.
spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in.
No puedo tomar una drinking. No puedo drinking. No hay nada así interesante. No, no tiene pinta. Así que continuemos.
But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
La primera puerta... Vamos a ver. Aquí vamos aquí a joder al tío este tranquilamente. Ya. Porque habiendo una aquí... ¿Por qué no tomarla?
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't
Hombre, estaba sentado en una silla, así que... Interés, tío. O se abre, si tiene una tarjetilla o algo... No podemos saltar, así que bueno, esa zona tampoco parece muy accesible. Penalty for jumping. Podemos saltar, pero es que creo que nos matamos. Tiene toda la pintaza de que nos matamos.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing in your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. What? Really? I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? That convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful.
Beautiful.
Let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side.
Danger everywhere. Peligro en todos lados. Sangre ahí. Vamos hacia el peligro. Aquí no hay ventana directamente. Se olvidaron de poner el asset. 283. Warning. No te pongas por este lado de la valla. No puedo abrirlo. No puedo abrirlo. Oh.
Stanley walked through the red door.
¿Y si elijo esta puerta? ¿Y si una tarjeta? ¿Podré conseguir una tarjeta, de hecho? Vamos a ir por el azul, vamos a darle por culo. ¿El blue? Es que no es inglés.
I still don't think we're communicating properly. Stanley walked through the red door.
Door.
All right, fine. Go ahead, Stanley. You want to know so badly what's out there? You want to find out what's at the end of this road you've chosen? Well, don't let me stop you.
Venga. A ver qué encontramos acá.
You see? There's nothing here.
Oh, no hay nada. Ah, que no se ha terminado de hacer.
Broken rooms, exposed developer textures. Is this what you had wanted?
Is
it worth ruining the entire story I had written out specifically for you? Do you not think I put a lot of time into it? Because I did. And in the end, it was all for nothing. Because this is what you wanted to see. Help me here, Stanley. Help elucidate these strange and unknown desires of yours.
Siento haberte destruido el juego.
What did you want to see? Vehicles? Skill trees?
Eso está guapo siempre.
You've given me absolutely nothing so far. Tell you what. Let me take a stab in the dark at a new design and you can give me some feedback. There we go. A third option. This already feels leaps ahead of where we were before. Go ahead, Stanley. Take it for a spin.
Tercera opción.
Okay, I'm going to stop you there. Now, tell me about your experience with this new version. Would you say that the game benefited from allowing you more choices? Feel free to be honest. I'm looking for some real critical feedback here.
Sí, 5.
You see, I knew I was onto something. Where do these flashes of inspiration come from? How did I know the game needed a
necesitamos una tercera puerta. 3 puertas son mejores que 2.
It's instinct mostly, a calling in your gut. I really couldn't say where the idea came from except that I felt it in my soul. You can't teach me, Stanley. Don't even try. Here, based on the data from your previous playthrough, I've compiled a new version. And to be perfectly candid, I think I've knocked it out of the park with this one. Let's take a look.
Nueva versión. The Stanley Parable World Ride Leaderboard. ¿Qué dices? Está medio montar. Good Old Name is online. 0,0. Madre mía. ¿Sabes que el 21% de los jugadores se saltó la interrupción? 7 minutos. ¿O no? ¡Oh, no! ¿Por qué no preguntas a algunos amigos para ayudar? Error, no tienes amigos. Algo ponías eso, ¿eh? Qué pena. ¿Qué puerta elegimos? ¿Qué puerta queréis que elija? ¿Izquierda, centro o La misteriosa Mickey herramienta. ¿Cuál queréis? O sea, ¿cuál os haría gracia? Si no elijo la del centro, yo qué sé. Naranja, vamos a la naranja, venga, vámonos. La misteriosa Mickey herramienta.
Now, would you say that competitive leaderboard helped you feel motivated to keep walking through doors? Again, honest answers, please.
No, no me he motivado para atravesar puertas.
Hey, I nearly forgot. I've got a prototype of a new game I've been working on.
¡Ojo!
Now would be a lovely opportunity to give it some playtesting. You wouldn't mind taking a look at it?
Sí, claro, vamos a echar el prototipo ese, un
Let me
prototipo
boot it
de un juego.
In this game,
¿Cómo?
baby crawls left
¿Cómo?
towards danger. You click the button to move him back to the right, and if he
¿Qué?
fire, you fail. It's a
No.
very meaningful game, all about the desperation and tedium of endlessly confronting the demands of family life. I think the art world will really
La respuesta es no matar al niño.
But of course, the message of the game only becomes clear once you've been playing it for about
4 horas.
So why don't you give it 4 hours of play to make sure it's effective?
Bebe la brasa.
To keep notes on your experience.
Es que hay que tostarlo. Para que esté al punto. Son muy alto, no voy a jugar, no voy a darle. Oh no.
Bastard.
Oh no.
Do it because you hate babies or purely to spite me.
El bebé tostado.
The latter, well, I don't
Se está
know.
quemando ya.
I'm completely out of ideas. I can't think of a single thing that might
Oh,
improve
no.
the experience for you. I'm not even going to try. I'm out.
Oh,
I'm
¿se
out.
va?
I'm done. It's over. Thank you for playing. Your input was extremely valuable.
De nada,
The
compañero.
game was so awful. Why don't we play someone
Ojo.
else's game?
Ojo de alguien más.
Ease the pain. Let's see. What do we have here?
¿Qué tenemos aquí? Otro de los creadores, supongo.
Yes. This seems like it'll work. Let's give it a shot.
Es muy gracioso el plan, el punk. O algo así.
Well, Stanley, is this any better? At last, the one thing you've always desired. A game I had absolutely nothing to do with. But is it enough?
Muestra a todos guapísimos aquí Vegeta 777 y un nuevo gameplay de Planeta Vegeta.
To fulfill a greater artistic purpose.
Va a crear una casa.
Stanley, I'm going to build a house.
Mira, 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 hasta funciona el FOB.
This will go
Estoy poniendo tiro.
here. No, here. And then... Let's see, what does it need? Yes, of course. And just to finish it all off...
Tremendo.
Yes.
Ay, qué puerta.
Complete. I made this, Stanley.
Ay,
Look at it. Gaze upon
Precioso.
my work of art and feel ashamed at your own.
precioso, preciosa puerta.
But you've only seen it from the outside. You've only gotten half the experience. Please, step
Qué pena no
inside
poder
and
saltar, me
enjoy
pongo a jugar a
yourself.
Minecraft aquí. Ay, que las nubes funcionan, no te creo. ¿Se mueve? No, está permanente. Game rule do game cycle false. ¿Cuánto será de grande el mapita este? Es decir, hay unas montañas allí. Me molaría poder moverme. Vamos a entrar a ver la casa, a ver qué tal. Muy acogedora.
Grand. Isn't it perfect? It could only be better if... Wait,
Diamante, sí.
we must rebuild it out of diamond. Diamond...
Vamos a mirar.
everything. Yes. Come along, Stanley. We have to go mining.
¡Ojo! ¡Ojo! Ojito, ¿eh? ¡Ay! Que podemos... ¡Ay! Ojito, ¿eh? ¡Qué playa! O sea, ahí se ve ya que falla el desde hasta cierto punto. ¡Hay playa, loco! ¡Playa! Vámonos a mirar.
Oh my, it looks like it's going to get a bit dark. Have you brought a
No he
light?
traído luz. Parece de la antigua generación, no voy a mentir. Parece de la antigua generación. Moyan entre este y mando el juego épicamente. Sí, o sea, pero llego a pensar, en plan, está usando las texturas viejas, de hecho. ¿Está permitido? Es decir, bueno, no han dicho en ningún momento el nombre, pero...
No, this is far more open-ended than I had in mind. I'm looking for something more narrow and linear.
¿Linear?
Something
¿Cómo?
that makes you feel utterly irrelevant. This won't do at all. 1 out of 5. Even the diamonds couldn't save this one. Okay, new game.
Está sonando los de esos. Ah, no me deja. Es demasiado amplio. Más lineal. No, ¿qué será ahora?
Yes, I don't even know what this game is, but I love it. You, trapped in a glass box with no way out, listening to me talk. Oh, it's inspiring.
Porque estoy en el portal.
I couldn't have done it any better myself. What is this game
No.
supposed to be? I can't figure it out.
Puedo cogerte. ¡Ay, que la puedo coger!
Okay, now I'm curious.
Fuera.
Let's go find out what
La
the
radio.
hell this is.
La radio. La radio.
Oh, it's a puzzle.
Pensamiento crítico.
Wishful thinking, Stanley.
Tu fuerte.
Oh, forte.
Ojo. Ojo. Aquí jugando a Portal. Aunque lo juegue el otro. Lo he jugado aquí en el canal, ¿cierto? Creo que sí.
No, actually, you know what? I
Oh,
think
no.
it's plenty. I really don't care much to
No.
see you stumble through any more of these games, and I highly doubt you're any wiser for the experience.
Está jugando
Why,
Portal.
rather than continue to waste my time, I'm just going to leave you.
Me escapa con la radio. Me escapa con la radio. Mi vida. Pero no suena. Tristemente no suena. Pero me acabo de escapar con la radio. Yo no sabía, o sea, me he tirado por los LOL, en plan. Beta. Iteration no sé cuánto. Work in progress. ¿Qué cojones? The Stanley Alpha Test. Please rate your experience. ¿Qué cojones, loco? Que voy con la radio. Ay, que me acabo de caer. Que no veía nada. Idea, pero en el multijugador. Yo he jugado también a las dos. Me acabo de... Esto es como el antiguo Stanley. O sea, es el viejo juego de Stanley. O sea, he perdido la radio. Tristemente me han hecho TP. Y una luz. Media luz. Media luz estaría bastante bien. ¿Dónde cojones estoy, loco? ¡Oh! Una luz. ¡Ojo! ¿Puedo abrirte? Es el 424. ¿Qué está mirando este? No lo sé. Portal está muy bien, a mí me encanta. Yo lo he jugado un par de veces ya. Una luz te ilumina. Nada. ¿Ojito? Pues no tengo nada aquí, ¿no? Es decir, no puedo hacer absolutamente nada. Yo me creí que podía hacer algo. Bueno, vámonos. Es decir, curioso cuanto menos.
I wonder what he found. If what he wanted was to be the leading man in his own story, well, perhaps he's gotten it. Down in wherever he is right now. I wonder if he's happy with his choice. And if he's learned the heavy cost that comes with it. He'll understand soon what I was trying to tell him. He needs me. Someone who will wrap everything up at the end, to make sense out of the chaos and the fear and the confusion.
¿Qué ha pasado?
That's who I am. That is what I mean to this world.
¿Qué ha pasado?
Yes.
Ajá.
Yes, I'll be back.
Ah, no, ¿qué ha pasado?
Once this ends, after it all comes to a close, then I'll be back. The end will be here soon.
No, no he terminado todavía. Yo estaba todavía dando vuelta.
I can wait.
Puedo esperar. ¿Qué pasa? Jaja, no, ¿qué ha pasado? Espérate tú. Wait a minute. This is not my home. ¿Dónde estoy?
What could it mean?
¿Dónde estoy?
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
¿Dónde estoy? Console. Bienvenido al final de la... ¿Qué cojones? Console 7 bar. Vale. Es decir, no entiendo.
Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single difference.
Estoy moviendo la cabeza. ¿Qué pasa,
Did
Mini?
it advance the story in any way?
Vale.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Ha cambiado todo. Voy a tirarle por la izquierda, pero para hacerle caso porque ha cambiado todo. ¿Ha cambiado solamente el principio? Puede ser. Puede ser, tiene pinta.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go
¿Está al
out to
revés?
his boss's office,
No,
hoping
gracias.
he might find an answer there.
Tomate.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked
Tenemos que tirarle por ahí
upstairs
abajo
to
algún
his
momento.
boss's office.
O tirarle para allá abajo. En alguna run tenemos que tirar para abajo. ¿Esto sirve para algo? ¡Ojo! ¡Ojo! Para ser rico... Ser rico es un crimen. Cometer crimen no es ser rico. ¿Qué vida podría ser si tuviese que elegir una? ¿Qué cojones? ¿Puedo? ¡Ojo! ¿Qué cojones? Business estrategia... ¿Cómo? ¿Estrategia de trabajo? ¿Qué cojones? ¿Qué pone ahí? Vale, soy el jefe más costoso de todos.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. What could it mean? Stanley wondered aloud to nobody. He began wildly tearing through papers on the boss's desk, pulling books off the shelf, looking behind paintings, desperate for clues to his situation. But his attention was caught by a keypad behind the boss's desk. What could its purpose be? In fact, this keypad guarded the terrible secret that lay buried below his feet. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret pin number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
No, meses número.
Stanley simply began entering random codes into the keypad, knowing full well the sheer statistical unlikelihood that this would ever result in a correct combination. If he knew that the combo was 2845, it would be another story entirely.
2845.
No, this is what he was going to do instead.
548 548 2 2845.
Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Y ahora vamos por aquí. Secreto. A ver. Es que no veo nada, tío. Aquí hay algo, pero es que no veo. No, no hay nada, tiene pinta, ¿eh? Tristemente. Tristemente. Vamos a ver si podemos por aquí encontrar otro final. Porque por tirar por la derecha hay final bastante interesante. Pero por aquí es otra cosa. Vale, tenemos esto. Ah, sí, el escape.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Es que aquí pone escape.
Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death.
Muerte violenta, yo me jodería.
The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back
Oh,
on
no,
track.
pero es que ya está muy lejos, no me gusta andar.
At this point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront him.
Esta, quiero ver mi muerte. Muerte, 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 muerte. Muerte, muerte.
As the machine whirred into motion
Oh.
and Stanley was inched closer and closer to his demise, he reflected that his life had been of no consequence whatsoever.
No puedes
Stanley
saltar.
can't see the
¡No!
He doesn't know the real
No puedo saltar.
story, trapped forever in his narrow vision of what this world is. Perhaps his death was of no great
Tristemente no puedo, no puedo saltar.
eyeballs from a blind
Pero por ahí puedo salir.
So he resigned and willingly accepted this violent end to his brief and shallow life. Farewell, Stanley.
Oh, no.
"Farewell, Stanley," cried the narrator, as Stanley was led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him instantly.
¿Qué cojones?
And yet
¿Qué
it would be
cojones?
just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish?
¿Qué cojones? ¿Por qué un segundo narrador? O sea, flipando yo estoy ahora mismo. ¿Qué cojones?
When every path you can walk has been created for you long in advance, death becomes meaningless, making life the same. Do you see now? Do you see that Stanley was already dead from the moment he hit start?
¿Qué dices? Esta es la oficina, de hecho. Pinturas naturales. Mi ordenador. Míralo. ¡Míralo! Venga, llegamos aquí. Sí, básicamente. El corredor. Mira, mira, aquí te lo está poniendo en plan. El camino de esta sesión abierta es importante para mantener la derecha. Este corredor ha sido movido y alterado para ser seguro que el jugador alcanza las dos puertas en un buen tiempo. O sea, llegan las dos puertas. Las dos puertas. Un par de dos puertas. Vale. Bueno, básicamente aquí dice básicamente lo que eliges para dónde tirar del juego. Filling cabinets. Wow. The Office. 1, 2 y 3. Sonidos botones. Vale. Vale, apagadas. Créditos. O sea, ¿qué cojones? ¿Qué lo diría? Cuatro, 6. Es decir, no sé lo que tengo que hacer aquí. Lager, Wars. Lager Wars. ¿Qué cojones? O sea, mandaron estas imágenes y ganaron. La de esa para funcionase. ¿Y esto? ¿Y esto? Y esto, Alien Base, a Wesson, Warzone. Al principio del development, vale. Vale, en algún momento iban a hacer una parodia de shooters y aliens y tal. Narrator. Oh, correos del narrador. Después del segundo tráiler que enviamos. Por enlace. Vale, muy bien. Que muchas cosas. Yo estoy escuchando un tic-tac. Ah, amigo, vale. Y zonas del juego que obviamente no las hemos visto todavía. Es decir, un poco rayante toda esta mierda, ¿no? Vale, o sea, hay 4 maneras, es decir, desobedecer, ir allí, desobedecer, ir allí, depending on how you enter. Ah, que hay 2 para entrar ahí al mantenimiento. Vent. Interesante. Oh, ¿y esto? Sending model. ¿Te imaginabas que funciona? Me habría hecho mucha gracia. Se acaba de pillar. Esto se apuesta, ¿cierto? ¿Juego? ¿Se acaba de crashear el juego en serio? Y la respuesta es sí. No te creería yo que fuese a crashearse el juego. Bueno, vamos a cerrarlo. Es decir, hemos conseguido llegar ahí. Pero no esperaba yo que se crashearse el juego. O sea, tiene un tiempo, pero no sé. O sea, no me esperaba yo que se fuese a crashear, al menos de tan bestia manera. Bueno, vamos a ver. A verlo. Venga, un nuevo caminito que voy a tomar. A ver, ¿cuál elegimos hoy? ¿Cuál elegimos ahora? ¿Qué elegimos? ¿Derecha o izquierda? ¿O la misteriosa?
All of his co-workers were gone. What could
¿Qué
it
podría
be?
ser?
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
¿Derecha o izquierda? ¿Cuál queréis?
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Facilito. Vamos a de eso derecha, vamos a ir a la
This was
maintenance
not
room.
the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
No podemos acceder a nada de eso.
a room worth admiring. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
No. Vamos a venirnos aquí.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Vamos a intentar llegar allí porque yo por allí hemos
I
tirado.
think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really.
Es que aquí podemos matarnos. Es que tiene toda la pinta que vamos a morir.
Trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself.
Decisiones.
I'm asking for her.
Prefiero a ella.
This is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself. To put your work aside, to let her back into your life.
Oh, ella.
She's been waiting.
Ella. ¿Quién es ella? No lo sabemos.
That's her, Stanley. You need to be the one to do this, to reach out to her.
Vamos a coger el teléfono.
Truly.
Sweetie, sorry to keep you waiting. I'm just pulling the bread out of the oven.
Estoy sacando el pan del horno.
Okay, there we go.
Me puedo pirar.
All right,
Vale, muchas
I
gracias.
want you to come in and tell me all about your
Oh no.
Gotcha.
Me atrapó.
Oh,
Corre.
come on. Did you actually think
Oh,
you
no.
had a loving wife? They want to
Triste.
commit their life to you.
Triste.
I'm trying to make a point here, Stanley. I'm trying to get you to see something. Come inside.
Me creía que haciendo eso se iba a enfadar o algo. Me habría hecho muchas
Let
gracias.
me show you what's really going on here.
¿Qué está ocurriendo? No quiero.
Sorry, but you're in my story now.
Mierda.
This is a very sad story about the death
Perturbador.
of a man named Stanley.
¿Cómo? La muerte.
Stanley is quite a boring fellow.
Oh no.
He has a job that demands nothing of him, and every button that he pushes is a reminder of the inconsequential nature of his existence.
Buen escritorio.
Look at him there, pushing buttons,
Triste.
doing exactly what he's told to do. Now he's pushing a button. Now he's eating lunch. Now he's going home. Now
La verdad es tan raro.
to work.
Tan como pegado.
One might even feel sorry for him, except that he's chosen this life.
Yo no hijo, yo sabía, ya me estoy aquí intentando ir. Sin una tecladito todo el rato. ¿Qué pasa si me quedo quieto? Si decido no actuar, no seguir. Creo que de hecho hay una de esas que si te quedas bastante rato en la primera pantalla sin moverte, te da un logro.
But in his mind,
Vamos a continuar.
in his mind, he can go on fantastic adventures. From behind his desk, Stanley dreamed of wild expeditions into the unknown, fantastic discoveries of new lands. It was wonderful.
Wonderful.
And each day that he returned to work was a reminder that none of it would ever happen.
Ah, no me aburriría nunca. Uno, para la televisión.
And so he began to fantasize about his own job. First, he imagined that one day while at work, he stepped up from his desk to realize that all of his co-workers, his boss, everyone in the building had suddenly vanished off the face of the earth.
Ah, no me puedo mover de
The
aquí.
thought excited him terribly. So,
Pues ese tipo con los muchachos,
imagine that he came to two open doors and that he could go through either. At last, choice. It
Oh, no.
barely even mattered what lay behind each door. The mere thought that his decisions would mean something was almost too wonderful to behold.
Ojo. La cena.
As he wandered through this fantasy world,
¿Qué
he began
cojones?
to fill it with many possible paths and destinations. Down one path lay an enormous round room with monitors and mind controls. And down another was a yellow line that weaved in many directions. And down another was a game with a baby. And he called it the Stanley Parable.
The Stanley Parable.
It was such a wonderful fantasy, and so in his head he relived it again, and then again, and again, over and over, wishing beyond hope that it would never end, that he might always feel this free.
Vale.
Surely there's an answer down some new path, mustn't there be? Perhaps if he played just one more time.
One more time.
But there is no answer. How could there possibly
Oh, no.
be? In reality, all he's doing is pushing the same buttons he
Ya sé dónde vamos a llegar.
Nothing has changed. The longer he spends here, the more invested he gets, the more he forgets.
Vamos a volver a la habitación inicial, míralo.
And I'm trying to tell him this, that in this world he can never be anything but an observer, that as long as he remains here, he's slowly killing himself. But he won't listen to me. He won't stop. Here, watch this. Stanley, the next time the screen asks you to push a button, do not do it.
Voy a no hacerlo. No estoy haciendo, no estoy tocando ningún botón. No sé si pasará algo si no presiono ningún botón. Sí, bastante gracioso. Ven, amigo. Amigo. Estoy mirando este reloj, es decir, voy a esperar un minutillo. Si no le daré. No queda de otra. Vamos, amigo. Amigo, amigo, amigo. Amigo, amigo, amigo. No puedo saltar. Esto es metal. Pero esto no. Me hace gracia. Y ya pasa un minuto. Pues vamos a pasar. O sea, vamos a hacerlo.
You see? Can he just not hear me? How can I tell him in a way that he'll understand that every second he remains here, he's electing to kill himself?
Oh no, me voy a matar.
How can I get him to see what I see? How can I make him look at himself? I suppose I can't. Not in the way I want him to.
Bueno.
But I don't make the rules. I simply play to my intended purpose, the same as Stanley. We're not so different, I suppose. I'll try once more to convey all this to him.
O sea, hay una manera. Y está la muchacha esa. La narradora.
Well, maybe this time he'll see. Maybe this time. And I tried again.
Por favor, muera. ¿Cómo?
Stanley pushed a button. And I tried again. And Stanley pushed a button. And I tried.
O sea, hay una manera de ¿sabes? Está la muchacha esa que va aparte, va por encima de. Va por encima del narrador. Vale, y el narrador también está obligado. Ahora vengo, un momentillo. A ver.
How long was I sitting there? Stanley wondered to himself. Minutes? Days? Centuries? Did something crucial happen while my senses were turned? He made a note to be more careful with time from now on.
Seguramente hay alguno por pagarlo todo. Pero claro, vete a saber.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door.
Vamos a ir por la derecha.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
No.
Wow, yes, this room. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
No puedo cerrarla.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here.
Es que si me tiro me muero.
Really, I'm not. I realize
Intenta tirarle para allá.
trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you. What? Really? I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm...
Vamos a intentar entrar por la roja ahora.
Give me a chance.
Por la puerta
Now
roja.
listen carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door.
Voy por la roja.
Thank God, you are willing to listen to me. Do you see that I really have wanted you to be happy all this time? The problem is all these choices. The two of us always trying to get somewhere that isn't here. Running and running and running, just the way you're doing right now. Don't you see that it's killing us, Stanley? I wanted to stop. We would both be so much happier if we just stopped. And I think I have a solution. Here,
Es infinito,
let
¿no?
me show you.
Es la misma todo el rato. ¿Qué ocurre? ¿Qué me vas a hacer?
What do we want? What are we looking for?
Vamos a tirarle para adelante. No sé lo que estoy. No sé lo que estoy viendo. ¡Oh!
Here. Yes. Oh, it's beautiful, isn't it? If we just stay right here, right in this moment with this place, Stanley, I think I feel happy. I actually feel happy.
Qué bonito. Juego de luces.
No, wait. Where are you going? Right. Where were we?
Ah, pero vamos a tirar por aquí. Qué curiosa esta pinta con el paint. Oh. Que me puedo agachar. Eso no lo sabía yo.
Oh no. Stay away from those stairs. If you hurt yourself, if you die, the game will reset. We'll lose all of this.
Hombre, no quiero que me muera de las escaleras, ¿no?
Please, no, Stanley, let me stay here. Don't take this from me.
Oh, que es para matarnos. Sayonara.
No! Oh, thank God you lived. No, 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 what are you doing, Stanley? Please, I'm asking you not to take this away from me. I can't go back to what I was before. If you die, we'll both go back. Why are you doing this? Stanley, let's go back to the other room. Can you do that?
Voy más lento.
My God, is this really how much you dislike my game? That you'll throw yourself from this platform over and over to
Quiero el
be
final.
You were literally willing to kill yourself to keep me from being happy. Am I reading the situation correctly?
No, lo estás leyendo mal. Simplemente quiero encontrar otro final.
Or maybe you're just getting a kick out of it. I don't know anymore. I just wanted us to get along.
Joder, me dan venenito, me cago en Dios. Vámonos, venga.
It looks like you wanted to make a choice after all. Do you actually want to stay alive? Or are you just teasing me?
¡Loco! ¿Cuántas luces, no?
I wanted us to be happy here, Stanley. I really did. I wish I still thought that was possible.
Loco, las luces. Pam, 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 pam. Pero es que aquí no, o sea, es quieto todo el rato sin hacer nada. A ver, me quiero tirar. ¿Por qué? Porque quiero otro final, quiero otra cosa. Esa puerta no se abre, tristemente. Vámonos.
Is it over?
Sí.
It's going to restart, isn't it? I'm going back.
I'm going back. ¿Te imaginas que ahora no habla?
I can't wait to tell this story to my co-workers, Stanley thought. How amusing they'll find it. Oh, won't we all just laugh and laugh at the time I thought everyone had gone missing?
Tristemente hay puertas cerradas
Stanley
que no
went
sabe.
around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single difference, nor did it advance the story in any way. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Vamos a tirar por aquí.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track.
Niña de aquí realmente, es decir, que se puede abrir es raro, es extraño. Vamos a tirar por abajo, es verdad, no hemos tirado por abajo.
Staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Firehouse. ¡Hostia, un coche!
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss. Admitting he had left his post during work hours, he might be fired.
Ahí está, tú
In
entiendes.
such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all? None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations.
Se
For
repitió.
example, why couldn't he see his feet
Mis
when
pies.
he looked down?
Porque se cierran.
Doors closed
Oh, no.
automatically behind him wherever he went. And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating?
1, 2,
No, Stanley said to himself,
B4.
this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground. Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the
Exactamente.
voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd,
Joder, vaya
and wondered
texto,
if
¿no?
this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life.
¿O no?
Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream.
Oh, es un sueño, sí, claro.
Float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that?
Ahí
This
está.
voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in
Ahí está, yo tengo control.
that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his
Ahí está, yo
feet,
estoy durmiendo.
the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up.
Se dijo a sí mismo.
I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons.
Los botones.
Please. It's all I want. I want my apartment, and my wife, and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be
Everything is fine.
I am okay.
Pues no. Vaya por.
Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black.
Vaya.
This is the story of a woman named Mariella.
¿Cómo?
Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings,
Vaya.
and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief
¿Qué cojones?
minutes, she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy. This much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day, the very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring
Muerto.
down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
Fin. Estamos muertos. Loquísimo.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
What it can be.
When
Vamos a ver.
Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door.
Venga,
on
vámonos
his
por aquí.
left.
Vamos a subir.
Yet there was not a single person here.
Vamos a ir al ascensor que
Feeling a
hay.
wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Ahí está. Vamos ahora aquí. No están abiertas. ¿Y eso? Es decir, yo las pude abrir, pero fue después de un final. Es decir, solamente se pueden abrir luego de un final, en concreto. Curioso, ¿eh?
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, Unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this, what dark secret was being held from him. What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
¿Habrá otro por aquí escondido? ¿O algo? Chonte. Porque obviamente yo no lo sé.
Stanley just sat around twiddling his thumbs. Trying to input anything on the device was useless, since he could never possibly know that the combination was 2845. Stanley simply began entering random codes into the keypad, knowing full well the sheer statistical unlikely 2845.
Voy a enfadarlo. Estamos. Pam, 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 pam,
Forgot,
pam.
but it turns out that the panel's emergency override kicked in, and the door just opened all by itself. And Stanley got the hell along with the story. Well, whoop-de-doo.
¿Qué pasa si continúo? Pam, 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 pam. Voy a darle un par de veces más. Y luego voy a intentar poner la contraseña bien. Que era 2845. No me cuadra. No, no quería. No quería. ¿Qué pasa si me intento ir? Es que no hay nada aquí, tío. Vamos a tirar para abajo. Luego, antes de terminar, voy a echar un vistazo cuando pase un ratillo. Para ver qué otros tipos de finales hay.
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt
Libre. I am free.
himself to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him?
Pim, 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 pim,
This
pim, pim,
question
pim,
would
pim,
not
pim,
go
pim,
unanswered
pim,
for
pim.
long.
Bueno, para allá no vamos a tirar, o sea que solamente hay una salida. Solamente hay una salida, así que bueno, tiraremos por aquí. Veremos qué otra cosa podemos hacer.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible
Montón de
secret
números.
did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
Vamos.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of
Oh, no.
an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen.
Bla, bla, bla.
And Stanley
Ese creo que estaba... Ahí había uno que estaba mal.
in this place where freedom meant nothing.
De hecho, aquí podemos verlos todos. Que sin ir más lejos tenemos el del jefe. Sorprendentemente.
This mind
Este tarda un
control
rato.
facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true.
Ahí está.
Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was
The
having
only
this
reason-
boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly?
Ahí está 600, aunque el 601 está despedido. Interesante.
No. He refused to believe
Y ahí hay uno que no
it.
tiene
He
cámara.
couldn't accept it.
Esto
His own
da un montón de
life in
pistas
someone
para
else's control?
las
Never.
cosas.
It was unthinkable.
Para los posibles
Wasn't
finales
it?
esto tiene que dar un montón
Was it even
de
possible?
vidilla.
Had he truly spent
Pues claro,
his
¿dónde
entire
está?
life utterly blind to the world?
Vamos a bichear aquí.
Proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy or sad.
Porque obviamente esa es la salida.
Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power
1, 2, 3, 4,
over
supongo.
another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Ajá. No sé esto qué hace exactamente, pero hay numeritos pegados en la pantalla, porque no sé si significarán algo. Y bueno, cosas de estas apagadas. Vamos a encenderlo. 5. 4 y 5. Pues solamente está el 4 y el 5. Mucho número aquí. Ajá. Espera, voy a entrar, voy a encender, ¿vale? Y a ver si eso sirve de algo. Vamos a encenderlo.
At last he found the source. Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the controls, did you?
Sí.
After they kept you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine.
I want
yourself. Is that what you
some
wanted?
control.
Control? Oh, Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that machine can do. You were supposed to let it go, turn the controls
3.
off, and leave. If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that. I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this
2,
pertinent,
3, 4 y
Stanley
5.
suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system. In the event that this machine is activated without
4.
proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are
nuclear.
set to explode, eliminating the entire complex. How long until detonation then? Let's say 2 minutes. Ah, now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time to shine. You are the star. It's your story now. Shape it to your heart's desires. Oh, this is much better than what I had in mind. What a shame we have so little time left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the bomb goes off.
No sirve para.
Precious moments each one of them is. More time to talk about you, about me, where we're going, what all this means. I barely know where to start. What's that? You'd like to know where your co-workers are? A moment of solace before you're obliterated? All right, I'm in a good mood. You're gonna die anyway. I'll tell you exactly what happened to them. I erased them. I turned off the machine. I set you free. Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story.
María, María, María,
Sometimes
María,
when
María,
I
María.
tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons endlessly and then dying alone. Other times, I let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside, or I let it burn to a crisp. I have to say this, though, this version of events has been rather amusing. Watching you try to make sense of everything and take back the control wrested away from you, it's quite rich. I almost hate to see it go. But I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go-around will be even better.
No será esto, ¿no?
Goodness, only 34 seconds left. But I'm enjoying this so much. You know what? To hell with it.
No.
I'm going to put some extra time on the clock. Why not? These are precious additional seconds, Stanley. Time doesn't grow on trees. Oh dear me, what's the matter, Stanley?
¿Por qué?
Is it that you have no idea where you're going or what you're supposed to be doing right now? Or did you just assume when you saw that timer that
No sé.
someone in this room was capable of turning it off? I mean, look at you. running from button to button, screen to screen, clicking on every little thing in this room. These numbered buttons, no, these colored ones, or maybe this big red button, or this door. Everything, anything, something here will save me. Why would you think that, Stanley? That this video game can be beaten? Won? Solved? Do you have any idea what your purpose in this place is? Stanley, you're in for quite a disappointment. But here's a spoiler for you. That timer isn't a catalyst to keep the action moving along. It's just seconds ticking away to your death. You're only still playing instead of watching a cutscene because I want to watch you for every moment you're powerless. To see you made humble. This is not a challenge. It's a tragedy. You wanted to control this world, that's fine. But I'm going to destroy it first, so you can't. Take a look at the clock, Stanley. That's 30 seconds you have left to struggle. 30 seconds until a big boom and then nothing.
Oh no.
No ending here. Just you being blown to pieces. Will you cling desperately to your frail life? Or will you let it go peacefully? Another choice.
Ah, no.
Make it count. Or don't. It's all the same to me. All a part of the joke. And believe me, I will.
Quizás tenía que activarlo aquí, porque está el cablecillo.
From the moment we fade in until the moment I say.
Ah, triste. Triste. Vale.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Memo. Memo.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Ahora mismo estoy... Vamos a tirarle por la derecha, vamos a dar por culo.
And Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. The lounge was sublime, a work of art. But eager to get back to business,
Vamos a tirarle rectos.
door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't.
Es un camino largo, lo vamos a tomar ahora, pero...
But in his eagerness to prove
Ahí está.
that he is in control of the story and no one gets to tell
Muerto.
him what to do, Stanley leapt from the platform and plunged to his death. Good job, Stanley. Everyone thinks you are very powerful.
I am power. I have the power. Oh! It changed. Ha cambiado.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
No puedo, loco.
Standing now in this incredible room, Stanley for the first, but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
No, quiero continuar por... ¿Por aquí dónde vas? Vamos a tirarle por aquí, ¿por qué no hemos tirado nunca?
Through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door and got back on track.
Es que acabo de ver esto. ¡Vámonos! Es la primera vez que me veo la de este mantenimiento.
But Stanley didn't want to go back to the office. He wanted to wander about and get even further off track. So now in order to get back, he needed to go, from here it's, left.
No puedo tomar otra. No. Me ha hecho ahora de plan.
Oh, no, it's to the right, my mistake.
Vale. Vale, ¿puedo volver a abrirla? ¿Puedo abrirla directamente? No. Venga, vamos a tirarle para allá.
No, not the right. Why
¿Qué te corre?
I ever said it was to the right? What was I thinking? It's clearly... Oh dear, would you hold
Sí,
on
vale.
a minute, please?
Está mirando los papeles, no.
Now, let's see. We went down right, left, down, left, right. Yep, okay, yes. I've got it now. This story is absolutely, definitely this way.
¿Puedo...? No, tiene pinta. No. ¿Hola? Amigo. ¿Por aquí? Por... acá...
No. This isn't right at all. You're not supposed to be here yet. This is all a spoiler. Quick,
Oh,
Stanley,
un
close your eyes.
spoiler.
Okay. We just have to get back to oh, who am I?
Fight it.
It's all rubbish now. The whole story completely unusable.
Fight
However,
it.
rather than waste my time trying to salvage this nonsense, we'll just restart the game from the beginning. And this time, suppose we don't wander so far off track.
¿Qué tal si no?
Okay, from the top.
Acaba de reiniciar el solo. Sí.
All of his co-workers were gone. What
¿Por
could
qué
it mean?
podría ser?
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Eso está apagado. Interesante. Podría esta, tío, que triste, qué mal.
When Stanley... Wait.
¿Qué?
What? No, I restarted. I swear I definitely restarted the game over, completely fresh. Everything should be...
Se ha roto.
Did something change? Stanley, did you change anything?
Hostia, de hecho, eso significa que el monitor ese que puedes poner cosas, pues es dentro, o sea, está dentro del story, es decir, te lleva a otro camino. Pero bueno.
We were back in that room with all the monitors. Did you move the story?
No, yo no toco nada.
Hold on. Why am I asking you? I'm the one who wrote the story. It was right here just a minute ago.
Pringao.
For sure that it's here somewhere. Okay then. It's an adventure. Come, Stanley. Let's find the story.
Que me gustaría ir por ahí. Pero... No me deja. Todas comunican con todas. ¿Sí? Vamos a tirar por aquí.
I'll say it. This is the worst adventure I've ever been on. I can promise you there definitely was a story here before. Do we need to restart the game again? Well, I find it unlikely that we'll ever progress by starting over and over again, but it's got to be better than this. Okay, let's give it a shot. Why not?
¡Ey, amigo! Está ahora mismo por algo muy interesante. No tengo ni idea.
His co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Vamos a ver. Puedo apagar ese, pero ese no está. Vale, estamos en una ruta especial. Perfecto. Y...
Okay, yep.
perfecto.
I might be remembering this wrong. It's possible the story is back where we just came from. Why don't we go back the other direction and see if we missed anything?
Tiene toda pinta que hemos perdido algo. Hay una puerta. ¿Podemos tomarla esa? ¡El café! ¡Se cayó el café! ¡Odio los lunes! Nada. Esta puerta me la podéis abrir. No.
Aha! I knew we'd missed something.
Vale.
The story. Here it comes.
Wow.
No, wait. Never mind. Not the story. Okay, let's head back the other way and retrace our steps.
Oh. Esto tiene muy mala pinta. Muy mala pinta.
Now this... Well, I'll be honest. I don't recognize this place at all. Is this the story? I don't think so. I can't quite recall, but I believe my story took place in an office building. Is that correct? Do you remember, Stanley?
Sí, sí, sí,
You
yo
know
lo
what?
recuerdo.
Since I've completely forgotten what we were supposed to be doing, how about this? You win!
He ganado.
Congratulations!
Bien.
I know you put in a lot of hard work, and it really paid off. So, good
Bien,
job.
hemos ganado. Bien.
Oh,
Bien.
no, I don't feel right about this at all.
Mira, de
We
verdad, no he
both
hecho mucho
know you
trabajo.
didn't put in any actual work for that win. Some people win fair and square, and this was not one of those situations.
Tristemente, tristemente.
Okay, I'm getting weirded out by whatever this place is. I don't care what might happen this time. I have to risk.
Es decir, me creí que no iba a encontrar más secreto en plan que no fuesen intrincados y me acabo de encontrar. No. No.
All right, I've got a solution. This time, to make sure we don't get lost, I've employed the help of the Stanley Parable Adventure Line. Just follow the line. How simple is that?
Muy simple. La línea, la línea. ¡Ojo! ¡Ojo, amigo! ¿Qué vamos por el camino? Vamos a ayudarle, vamos a ganar. El camino que yo quería.
You see? The line knows where the
Ahí está,
story
ella
is.
sabe dónde está la
It's
historia.
going this direction. Onward, Stanley, to destiny. Though, here's a thought. Wouldn't wherever we end up be our destination, even if there's no story there? Or to put it another way, is the story of no destination still a story? Simply by the act of moving forward, are we implying a journey such that a destination is inevitably conjured into being via the very manifestation of the nature of life itself? Whoa. Hang on. That got a bit weird back
Sí, eso sí, un poco raro, ¿eh?
Well, I'd like to apologize.
Espérate.
Sure where I was going with all that.
Uy.
I think what we need right now is a bit of music to lighten the mood.
Ah. Ta-ra-ta. Ta-ta-ra-ra-ta-ra-ta. 6. Ta-ta-ra. 28. Ta-ra-ta. Ta-ta-ra-ra-ta-ra-ta. Ta-ta-ra-ra-ta-ra-ta. Ta-ta-ra-ra. 0B3, ¿cómo? 0B1. ¿Qué cojones? ¿Qué cojones? Entiendo.
Cut the music. Go back and look at that fern. Stanley,
¿Es el hecho?
fern will be very important later in the story.
Oh, el helecho.
Make sure you study it closely and remember it carefully. You won't want to miss anything.
Vale. Música, por favor.
Wait, what? We're back at the office? No. Line, you do know we're looking for the Stanley Parable, right? The story? Is any of this ringing a bell?
Sí, continuemos. Es por aquí seguro. Segurísimo. Véalo. ¿Really? O sea, voy a entrar, pero pues, yo qué sé.
Oh, no, not again, Line. How could you have done this?
¿Cómo has podido hacerlo, Línea?
We trusted you. After everything we've been through, you... Well,
No.
I can't take this anymore. To hell with it. Restart.
Restart. La línea. Vamos a continuar con la línea.
You know what, Stanley?
¿O no?
I say forget the adventure line. What's it ever done for us?
¿Qué ha hecho por nosotros exactamente?
People, right? Why can't we make up our own story? Something exciting, daring, mysterious.
Ojo, misterioso.
This all sounds perfectly doable. Why don't we simply start wandering in, well, I don't know. How about this direction?
¡Oh! ¡Una puerta! ¡Vamos! Puertas, mis favoritas.
Now, yes, this is
Ahí está,
exciting.
nuevo
Just
camino.
me and Stanley forging a new path, a new story. Well, it could be anything. What do you want our story to be? Go wild.
Ahí está.
Use your imagination. Whatever it might be, Stanley, I'm ready for it.
Venga. Algo loquísimo. Algo...
not you
no.
again. Stanley,
¿Por dónde te has
I'd
colado?
also like to veto the line from having any role in our awesome new story. No lines or monitor rooms. Just don't acknowledge it.
¿Se ha cargado las líneas todo esto? ¿Por qué que no le hiciese caso? La línea. Loquísima, en plan... ¡Fium! ¡Fium! No te puedo seguir, lo siento, línea. ¡Ojo! ¡Oh! Un clásico.
We get to make a decision. From here, the story is in our control. How important we mustn't squander the opportunity. In fact, I believe I need a minute to think here. Just walk in circles for a minute.
¡Oh! Círculos.
Okay, so I know that each door has to lead somewhere.
Ahí está.
Which means that somewhere, the place where we're trying to go, there must be a reverse door that leads here. And
Está.
that in turn means that our destination corresponds with the counter-inverted reverse door's origin. So starting from the right, let us ask, will taking the right door lead us to where we're going?
Sí, puede.
Since the answer is clearly yes, then by all accounts, the door on the right is the correct one. Another victory for logic. Come, Stanley.
Vámonos.
Destiny awaits.
Ah. Ahora, las dos no llevan al mismo sitio.
Oh, hold up. What's this?
¿El final de la confusión?
The confusion ending. You're telling me that's what this is? It's all one giant ending? And we're supposed to restart the game, what, eight times? That's really how all this goes? It's all determined? So now...
Es decir, a ver, vamos a leerlo así de rápido. Desviarse de la dehesa, aparecer ilesa, radiación recién, filogestal, descubrir hecho no. Ah, claro, hemos reiniciado 8 veces.
Now, according to the schedule, I restart again. Then what? Am I...
Fin. Ah, espérate, esta es la cuarta, ¿vale? Reseteamos el juego, el quinto restar, olvida. Está, si está, el fin del lenguaje. Oh,
Just
estoy
supposed
jugando.
to forget? Well, what if I don't want to forget?
Supone que te se lo olvide.
Blank
¿Qué
simply
cojones?
because it's written here on this thing, wall.
Esta cosa, pared.
Who consulted me? Why don't I get to decide? Why don't I get a say in all of this? Is it really? No, it can't be. I don't want it to be.
No quiero que sea.
I don't want the game
17 minutos con este
restarting.
modo de
I
vida.
don't want to forget what's going on. I don't want to be trapped like this. I won't restart the game.
Ahí está, no lo reinicia.
I won't do it. I won't do it. And the timer stopped.
Oh,
Does that mean
sí.
did we do it? Did we break the cycle? The whatever it is that made this schedule? How would we even know? Will someone come for us? Will something happen?
Ojo.
So,
O sea, hemos roto el teste, así que...
okay.
¿Vale?
I guess now we just wait. You know,
Voy a
I
sentarme.
suppose in some way that this is a kind of story. Wouldn't you agree? I'm not quite sure if we're in the destination or the journey. Though they're always saying that life is about the journey and not the destination.
Gracias,
So
fueron
I think
19-0,
that's
¿no?
where we are right now. We'll find out, won't we?
Ya está, eventualmente.
Well, in the meantime, if you do happen to have a...
¿Qué cojones? Se ha reiniciado sola.
All of his co-workers were gone.
Oh no, se ha olvidado.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Se ha olvidado, no. Eso no es especial. Eso no es normal. ¡Eh! ¡Míralo! Hemos conseguido poner otro. Secretos. Obviamente ese no lo vamos a conseguir. Hemos conseguido ya dos
When Stanley
de
came to a
esos.
set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Vamos a entrar a la izquierda. En principio soy prevenido en algún momento.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Hay uno que se llama Jim.
Oh no, no, not again. I won't be part of this. I'm not going to encourage you. I'm not going to say anything at all. I'm just going to be patient and wait for you to finish whatever it is you enjoy doing so much in this
sí.
room. Please take your time.
Gracias. Me encanta entrar en esa habitación.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Se abren. Voy a intentar venir otro día, pero... Es... Me pone triste, pero voy a hacer.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. What could it mean? Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a single minute to just let the narrator talk. That kind of anxiety isn't healthy, so he relaxed for a few moments with some calming New Age music. Feeling soothed and rejuvenated, Stanley calmly walked forward.
Está súper calmado, estoy súper calmado. Vale. ¿Habrá un camino secreto ahora por aquí? No, sigue habiendo el mismo agujero de siempre. En teoría me tienen que parar en algún momento o algo. Así, no entiendo muy bien. Leí el DS, pero es que no lo leí del todo. En algún momento ponía que me paraban, creo que en esta run.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
No me van a parar en ningún momento, en serio.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
¿Cuándo parar?
Their true nature
Está la cosa esa.
each bore the number of an employee in the building. Stanley's
Venga.
co-workers. The lives
Valento.
of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place
Venga.
where freedom meant nothing. This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control?
Hay uno que está de eso, el
all this time?
535.
Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No.
Unos...
He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in
Es que las cámaras a veces apuntan a sitios raros.
Never. It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery...
¿Funcionará directamente? ¿Me harán algo? Está cargando, ¿eh? Yo creo que... Bueno, está cargando de normal. Creo que no veo cambio.
Blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over? Yes. He had won. He had defeated the machine.
Vaya.
Unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him.
Sí, nada te importa.
Not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness.
Happiness.
Perhaps his goal had not been to
Voy a intentar salir ahora mirando hacia atrás. A ver, me hará así, en plan...
No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do.
Seguimos sobre el mismo... Sí, no ha cambiado absolutamente nada. Hay una casita.
Life he lives, it will be his.
¿O te imaginas que la casa esa es la casa al final donde está en una casa?
The only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door.
Se me hace el automático.
Breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him.
Se ve muy bien, de hecho,
Exactly the way
el juego este.
now,
O sea, dentro de lo mal que se ve muy bien.
to happen. And Stanley was happy.
Y reinicio. Ah, claro, no hemos conseguido continuar con ese porque este hombre acabó. En plan, se acabó.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Voy a buscarlo en plan rápidamente, en plan final o algo así. No sé, voy a echar un vistazo a ver si existe o algo. Y así lo hacemos. En plan final verdadero. Stanley Parable. Stanley... Mame mucho. ¿Hay algo que sea en plan final? Vale. No hay ningún final como tal. En plan grande o algo así, ¿sabéis? Estoy aquí quieto, es decir, no estoy haciendo nada. Hostia, espérate. A ver, volver a comenzar la partida. Ahora voy a hacer este. A ver. Computer 434.
Even now, Stanley's office was a distant memory. What did it look like? There was a computer, perhaps, and a painting. Was it a painting or a photo?
434.
No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Oh. A ver. Del F-Square y no por la ventana. Si no sé, entonces, ¿por qué? Que no me puedo ir por la ventana, no estoy muy seguro. Ah, claro. A ver. Espérate, creo que tengo que reiniciar. No sé si me deja volver a subir. Pero vamos a hacer esa que me hace gracia.
Someone was following Stanley. He was sure of it. If he checked over his shoulder now, he would surely catch them. It was only a matter of time.
Solamente me da una vez. Ojo.
At first, Stanley assumed he'd broken the map until he heard this narration and realized it was part of the game's design all along.
¿Qué cojones?
He then praised the game for its insightful and witty commentary
Bien.
into the nature of video game structure
No tengo más.
and its examination of structural narrative tropes. So, now that you're here, what do you think? Isn't this a fun and unique place to be? Why don't we take a minute just to drink it all in? Okay, I'm over it now. What do you think? Are you sick of this gag yet?
Vamos a decir que sí.
Well, I don't know how to say this politely, but you could literally just hit escape and restart the game any old time you want. Like right now. You could have done it just then. Now would also be an appropriate time to quit. Any of these points and so many, many more, all of them are appropriate. I'm enjoying what seems to be an internal conflict going on where you are literally unable to act on your own desires to restart the game. So, just to push the envelope, I'm going to try and make this as miserable as possible and see how long you can maintain.
Pues con esta musiquita vamos a cortar.
There once was a man named Stanley who people considered
Así que espero que os haya gustado mucho.
the truth must be told. He was not very
Y os dejo con esta canción. Hasta entretenido el videojuego, la verdad. Pero bueno,
What Stanley liked most
hasta la próxima.
he pushed them like some kind of glutton. He did it all day in a meaningful way, but his brain had long ceased to function. Which is why he is in this parable and lives an existence quite terrible. And if you are not strong and keep playing along, you too will become quite unbearable. You too will become quite unbearable.